Welcome to another sneak peek of the SimGuardian, a living archive I'm building for us Simmers in Notion. Today's sneak peek will be short and sweet. First, we'll take a quick look at the homepage, then I'll show off how you can create your Sim's origin story within the SimGuardian, and then there will be a quick surprise at the end. Hint, hint, it might be about this here. So let's just jump right in. So as you can see, the homepage is pretty simple in its setup. So again, we have our familiar navigation bar here to the left. We have our quick links tab here. We have a button for the new story ideas, similar as on the top level pages we've reviewed before. We also have a space here for our pinned resources. So whenever you collect a resource and you pin it as a favorite or as an important resource, it'll be shown here. Then we have our save files. So they're grouped by the game that you're playing them in. If you've played a save file before and recorded a sim session for that save file, you'll also see when you last played that game and which household is the current household. So as you can see here in the sidebar, I had a sim session today for 33 minutes for the save file TS4 while playing the Goth household, so that is shown here. You can display the save files with or without their cover photo. So you might want to add a screenshot as a cover for the save file page or not. So it's up to you if you want to display that. Same goes for the resources view. If you just want it sleek, clean, and simple, you can display without the thumbnails or with, just depending on your preference. And then below we have all of the databases that you can reference if needed. Now let's jump into the core of today's video, which is all about how to create a backstory for your sim. So we're going to head over to the save file TS4, and then we're going to go to Bob Pancake's profile. So let's just scroll down here. Here we got Bob Pancakes. Bab Pancakes. That would be good, right? Maybe an alter ego, Bab Pancakes. And here we have their profile. So I think this might be new since I first showed off the character profile. As you know, this is a work in progress, so everything's open to change. But now we have a button here to quickly add a backstory. And indeed, I remember hinting at the contents behind this section here, which is basically where the backstory of your character will show up when you create it. To create a backstory for Bob, we can just click this button here. Then a new page will open. We can give it a title. We'll just call it Bob's Backstory. You can be as elaborate or simple as you want to be there. And then we have the different steps that it takes to create that backstory. So I wanted to make it as easy as possible to create a backstory. I wanted to create as much inspiration as possible, or collect as much brainstorming material as possible for you to come up with a backstory. So we are working here with the Enneagram personality types, which you'll select under step 1. Enneagram personality types are my favorite to better understand characters' desires, their motivations, but also, their vices, maybe how they would act in relationships. So I really like the Enneagram personality type to better understand a character. It's really also great for creative storytelling in general. Then we're going to draw inspiration from the tarot deck. So you'll be able to shuffle from a tarot deck of 78 cards. You'll be able to draw them in reverse or upright to also inspire your character's childhood, their secrets and regrets, and their attachment. And then under step 3, you'll be able to fill in all that information based on the inspiration you get from the Enneagram and the tarot deck's cards that you drew. And then once that backstory is filled in, it'll automatically populate here. So let me just show you real quick everything in a drop down. So here's what it looks like when you open up each section. So we have tarot cards here. Click this button and it'll draw 3 new ones. We have an Enneagram card here. If you click this button, it'll randomize a new one. Full disclosure, the information you see on the Enneagram card and the prompts that you'll see here to inspire that part of your Sim's backstory, I created them all using the help of ChatGPT, so that's generative AI. If you're uncomfortable using AI-generated content, you can just ignore the information here and simply shuffle the cards, use the image as inspiration, or Google online the information behind the meaning of this card, whether it's upright or reverse. Same goes for the Enneagram. So there's a lot of information online that you can find about, for example, the investigator type, if you don't want to use the information that I've collected here. I'd love for you to get the use out of the prompts I've created because I think they'll really help, jumpstart your ideation for your Sims backstory. But I respect, of course, if you choose not to use the prompts or if you choose not to use the template entirely for this reason. Note that this AI generated content will also be included in the SimGuardian since the backstory creator is integrated in the SimGuardian and the way you create your character's profile. Of course, you don't have to create a backstory for your character and you also don't have to use the prompts, but I just wanted to note that so that you're aware that that's also part of the SimGuardian. But now let's get into using it. So I'll just close this bit here and we'll concentrate on step 1, select an Enneagram. So as it describes here, it's a model of human personality that describes 9 distinct personality types and their interrelationships. And so you can view them here if you just want a quick reference about what the different types, entail and what's included here. So it's 9 different ones with different strengths and weaknesses. So you can choose the Enneagram from that list there just based on what your gut feeling tells you your character would be. And then you would fill that in here. So you would add their Enneagram here to their backstory profile and here to their actual character profile. Or instead, if you're like, nah, I just want to see what, Destiny gives me, you can click here to randomize an Enneagram and you'll see then here a new Enneagram pop up. So in this case, it randomized the same Enneagram. What a chance. It's never happened to me before, but okay. We'll go with the investigator observer Enneagram personality type. It must be fate. And so we'll keep that. And we'll choose that for Bob. So investigator. Choose that here as well. And just add that to his profile. Done. That bit is over. Of course, you could, familiarize yourself with this when you take the time, when you're creating this backstory that will help inform the decisions you make for your sim towards their backstory, but also in regards to their future. But for now, we're going to skip to step 2, which is drawing inspiration from the tarot deck. So here you have 3 cards that will serve as inspiration for 3 different parts of your Sim's backstory. So that will be your Sim's childhood, their current secrets or regrets, and their current attachment. As you can see, prompts for those specific areas are listed on each card, and depending on the order in which the card was drawn, that will determine which card you use for which area. So first, let's draw 3 random tarot cards from the deck. So you click the button and then you'll get 3 new cards that can be either drawn in reverse or in the upright facing position, which has importance into the meaning that you'll draw from that card. So the meaning is displayed here, as well as prompts for the different areas I described before, and keywords as well, if you just want a quick short reference to help inspire the backstory. So you don't have to use these prompts, but they're there to give you like a starting point. And so we've drawn the 9 of Pentacles in reverse, the Queen of Swords in reverse, and the Death card upright for Bob. And so to make sure we don't lose that information, we'll save those cards here, because every time you create a new backstory for a sim and draw new cards, you're always drawing from the same deck of cards. So you want to take note of which cards you've drawn here. So we drew the 9 of Pentacles reverse. So I'll just see if that right here real quick. Pentacles reverse. We've got the Queen of Swords in reverse. So we'll save that as well. And then we've got Death upright. Oh yeah, so there we go. You don't actually have to type upright. Okay, so there we go. So we have added them in the order that they were drawn, and to make sure that order is respected here in this view as well that we've displayed, we just check, and yes, it's the same order. Perfect. So now we can hide this here, and this bit we will use then to inspire the information we add here. So this is where you can fill in your character's backstory. So we have Bob's childhood, we have Bob's secrets and regrets, so you can add regrets and secrets or just one or the other. So whenever you draw a card, depending on whether it's facing a reverse or upright, you'll get a regret or a secret. And then we have Bob's attachment, which basically is just anything. It could be a project, it could be a job, it could be a person, something that your character is tethered to, attached to, can't quite let go of. It could be something good, it could be something bad, it could be something supportive like a mentor. or family, but that's what you can add here. And then we have key elements. That's basically anything in addition to the 3 other areas that you want to add to your character's backstory that may have an impact or may have had an impact on them in the past, may continue to have that impact, but anything in addition you want to add. It's also important to note you don't have to fill in all of these areas, and I also recommend keeping it short and sweet. This is something you also want to reference and look back on, so it'll populate in your character's profile. So this bit here you'll see in Bob's profile once it's filled in. And so you want to have something that you can just maybe at a glance review and remind yourself of where that sim came from. They'll of course continue to evolve moving forward, so they might not be the same person as they were when you created this backstory, but it's just a nice thing to have also to help you make decisions that are more organic in your gameplay and feel like more purposeful and intentional based on the cards we drew. So for card 1, we'll be take inspiration for Bob's childhood, and we see here, Bob likely experienced a childhood marked by financial instability or overdependence on others, struggled with self-worth, leading to challenges in achieving independence and managing finances as an adult. That sounds like Bob a little bit. I mean, I don't think he's too happy with Eliza. I'm not also very informed on the exact lore there, what is actually an issue with their relationship. But Bob definitely seems to be more on the nonchalant, let's chill kind of attitude. So that seems like somebody who would not maybe be really, really good with independence. So he seems to be quite dependent on Eliza for, maybe there was more responsible things in life. And so one could come up with childhood experiences. One could elaborate on, something in that realm, right? So that helps you, that's like a jumping board to be like, okay, this is like the overall vibe of Bob's childhood. What kind of story can I tell from that? And then in the next bit, we have Bob's secret or regret. So we pulled a card in reverse, so we'll be having a regret. And in this case, Bob regrets pushing people away through harsh words, cold behavior, or an overly critical attitude. And they wish they had been more compassionate, understanding, or open-hearted. So you can come up with maybe an estranged relationship in Bob's life that would have experienced this kind of, not so great interaction. So who could Bob have treated this way? Maybe it was Eliza. Maybe it's why they're a bit, in a clinch. You could use this to inspire that bit of Bob's backstory to understand who he is today and where he is today. And then we have Bob's attachment. So in this case, we're using card 3 to inspire that. It could be to a major life change or transition. Maybe Bob is looking to divorce Eliza. Maybe that could be, or he's turning a new leaf. He has regrets. He doesn't like who he's become, so he actually wants to turn a new leaf. So he's not actually going to divorce Eliza. No. He's actually going to pick up some slack, and he's going to stop being so lazy, and he's going to do better. Maybe that is what they're currently like having in their mind, what they're currently attached to now. And then here, of course, space for anything else you want to add about Mr. Bob. And let me just demonstrate real quick how easy it is to type in information. So this is just a text box. You can click Shift and Enter, and then you can create a new line break. You can just work with bullet points if you want, if you don't want to like go all out storyteller mode. And then anything you type there will also show up here automatically. And so that's what it will look like also on Bob's profile. So that's just a rough example of how the backstory creator works. Now we'll get into the little surprise I was hinting at, and that is the actual backstory creator template that you will be getting for free today. So this is a little demo of how it works. Here I've pre-filled it with some characters already, and also with a backstory. In this template, you'll be able to collect the backstories of characters and their character profiles. So it will be a more simplified version of the character profile, so I can show you what that looks like. So we have here, as we're already familiar with, a menu on the left-hand side, space to add details about the character, and then core details, if they're human, a vampire, their age and whatnot. And then here we have that backstory that we filled in. And we also have a notes section. So we don't have the goals section, the relationship section, the story section, none of that. It's pretty simple, but it's definitely enough to collect your Sim's backstory and maybe also elaborate a bit on that more. And so let's click into her backstory and see what I used to inspire it. So I'll go to her drawn card. So I'll just double check that the order is correct. Page of Pentacles, Nine of Cups, Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, so that's the order I had drawn them, and that's the order that inspired the information I added here. So for her childhood, it said that she grew up in a hardworking environment, that valued hardworking and learning and practicality. And so I basically said that, hard work and ambition were encouraged in her family. She wanted her parents' approval, so she really worked hard all the time. Also in high school, she maybe overdid it a bit, got a bit burned out. And now she's still very much ambitious, but she's trying to find a balance between wellness as well and keep that in the front of her mind. And then we have Nine of Cups, which inspired her secret. She's worried that the success she's achieved could be lost at any moment. So it's kind of like an imposter syndrome situation. But I turned it into a more of a not so imposter syndrome, more like you did this to yourself, girl kind of thing, where she did get a pretty good job at a really good exclusive salon. But unfortunately, she fudged on her application to get that job. So she's kind of worried that that'll come out. And her attachment is to a goal that requires patience. So that was the Seven of Pentacles that inspired that bit. And the thing is, she is working on a career in cosmetology, and her end goal is to actually own her own hair salon. So she's very much at the beginning of her career, even though she's skipped a few steps. The experience isn't there yet to have a salon. And so she definitely needs patience to get to where she wants to go, to fulfill that project, but the problem is she's not really the patient type. So yeah, we'll see where that goes for her. And she's also the achiever Enneagram type. So yeah, she's all about success and getting things done, making moves, but maybe not always in the right way. So that was the backstory I kind of came up with for Ida, and it didn't take me too long. Thanks to these prompts here, it kind of like helped jog my creative juices and figure out, okay, based on this, what could it be? Because I think it definitely helps to create when you have a limited amount of decision making. And it's like, okay, you have to create within this box. So in the case of Ida's childhood, I had to create within a box of a hardworking family, perhaps, or something where personal growth was definitely the focus. And you don't have to use these prompts. You can just use the meaning of the card or even the imagery from the card to help you inspire, what the character's backstory is. Also, you can use bits from the Enneagram card as well to support that. So I hope you'll have a lot of fun playing around with the backstory creator. At the moment, I'm still playtesting the SimGuardian and making sure everything works as intended, displays as intended. I'm also going to then create the product guide for it with some videos to help you work through it, also customize it if you want to. And so that's all still a work in progress. I'm getting very, very close to the finish line though, so I think within weeks you'll be able to finally have the SimGuardian in your hands. I can't wait to get it to you, but until then, I hope you have fun playing around with the backstory creator, and that'll at least help you create some backstories for some Sims that you'll later then save their stories in the SimGuardian. And if you want to support me in my creative work already, of course, I'm very grateful if you end up getting the SimGuardian, though I understand it's an investment. You can also support me by simply, leaving a review about this template. So there will be a link in the template on the first page. Let me head over to that so you can see. So down here, you'll have a link that you can click to share a testimonial about the template if you enjoyed it. And that will be very helpful for me to be able to spread the word about what other Simmers think about the template and how it's helped them. Of course, spreading the word online is always appreciated as well. Again, also, please keep coming with the feedback and suggestions, whether it's about the backstory creator or the SimGuardian, any thoughts you might have. This is definitely still a work in progress, and I always want to be putting in what you want and what you want to see. This will also be the last sneak peek, actually, the last video sneak peek you'll be seeing of the SimGuardian, since I want to focus now in the next few weeks on actually just bringing it to the finish line. I think I've shown not everything, but I think the core, most important bits of the SimGuardian, so yeah, you know really what to expect. And now I just want to focus on refining it and bringing it to a close so you can finally use it, right? So I will still keep you up to date, of course. I will still keep mailing you with any other updates, any news about it. So definitely stay tuned. And until then, happy simming!